So we've got the trunk, or we've gotten to the trunk, and then we're gonna they're gonna load the trunk up into a truck, and then we're gonna escape out of the area. So it's kind of that quiet, we call it the quiet in, loud out fantasy. So now we want to push into that high action kind of moment. So they've loaded the trunk up onto this truck here. It's a big, crappy, slow German lorry. So, but we're gonna have to use that. It's the only thing that she could get to hold the trunk.
In that case, I'll be sure to enjoy the time I've got left.
Skylar getting the truck here with us. So because this truck is so slow, there's a good chance, you know, if I take my time, I'm gonna get it blown up. So we have this idea in our game that we call fight back zones. And this is where we actually teach the player how to use them in the game. And so the idea is when you inspire an area, you bring it to color. You're not liberating areas, you're inspiring areas. You inspire the people and the resistance will fight back alongside of you. So if you're having a shootout in the street in the color area, the resistance will actually show up and actually start fighting back against the Nazis. And then there's this idea that we call the fight back zones. And they're kind of like, they're like hiding spots or like a paint and spray, but they're combat centric. Oops. So instead of it being passive, we wanted to use the combat mechanics of the game and actually fight back with the Nazis. So the resistance are bunkered down in these areas. Move it. And so that we're going to pull up there and fight back and push the Nazis back and then shut off the alarms. There's a lot of things in our game like that. Fuel station, there's AA guns up there, there's towers spread all across the world that are what we call the ambient occupation of the game. It's this whole layer of occupation we have everywhere in the world. And for us, it's like a collections mechanic because we have a character that can climb anything in the game that looks like it can be climbed. And so it's part of like a collections mechanic, but it's all combat centric, much like this fight back zone is. It's not passive, you're using the aggressive fighting mechanics of the game. So now we're at the fight back zone. Get out of the truck here.
Let's get stuck in.
So you see all the resistance are fighting. There's a lot of tools for the player. I can jump in this AA gun and use that to shoot. Oh, that thing's gonna blow up in my face. Careful not to get myself killed here. So we've completed the fight back zone that pushes the enemies back.
Right, let's get moving.
So now what we're gonna do is Skylar's gonna jump back in the car with us. Get in there. So now it's definitely like that's kind of the you know, like the high action of the mission. Now we're gonna basically just take the truck back to one of the headquarters. Little storytelling, and you can see we have a lot of different types of headquarters in our game. The one we're taking it back to is what we call La Villette, which is actually a real slaughterhouse inside of Paris. And it's buried underneath the slaughterhouse. We have one in the catacombs, one hidden under a park. There's an abandoned church up in Le Havre. And then there's what we call the Belle de Nuit, which is a cabaret brothel that's hidden in, that's in the red light district in Paris. So we'll pull in here and park the car. Whoops. So that's where the mission complete is moment, but so it's all like it's a sandbox game, but we do a lot of level-based kind of design and philosophies for the missions. And so you can see though, it's a big giant map of Paris. And it's not just Paris, it goes from Paris all the way up that way to the coast of Le Havre, and then all the way across into Germany, and then there's all this countryside in between with all these big giant chateaus as well. So it's a big game, There's a lot of area to cover in the game. It's not like a one-to-one scale map of Paris. We actually condensed the map of Paris down, put all the monuments where they belong to their real-world scale, and filled in the world in between. And literally every block in the game has things like towers and generals and tanks that are all part of that occupation layer to fight in the game. So there's really a lot to do inside of the game. So there you go.